Here's an overview of the e-marketing assignment 2. So e-marketing stands for marketing that's done either online or electronically. So what you're trying to do here is you're trying to find where your potential customers are online. So when they're browsing, when they're searching, and when they're socializing, where are your customers? So what I'll do is I'll walk you through the process of doing the research and writing the assignment. So the assignment should have 4 key areas to it. Executive summary, which of course you write at the end after doing all your research. And the executive summary really is just a brief overview of what you've written in the rest of the document. You should have a situational analysis component, you should have a marketing strategy component, and there should be some financials in here as well. So the situational analysis, basically what you're doing here is you're trying to tell me what's going on in the area of where your product is. So if you're doing a blog, you need to tell me what's happening in the blog area. If you're selling online clothing, then you need to tell me what's happening. So you'll be looking at things like who the target market is, demographics, needs, trends, SWOT analysis, offerings, keys to success, and critical issues. Now, you don't have to cover all of these areas. These are just given to you as a way of triggering writing. So first of all, what you need to work out is, what are you trying to do? Are you selling? Are you communicating? Are you into education or educating your audience? Or you're just trying to grow an audience? So you're trying to get people to either be interested in your product or interested in your ideas. But remember, all the time during this process, you're supposed to be trying to solve a problem or meeting a need. So how do you do this as a research? Well, here's an example. So if we go and do a really simple Google search, just to start us off, because we're not really sure what we're looking for here. So I've just done a search here, you can see, for online shopping trends. Now, the top 3 hits here, I'm just going to have a look at these. Now, I've got the ones up. So technology is taking over when it comes to fashion trends. Well, I had a bit of a read of this one. And this is really talking about what's happening in technology in fashion. So it doesn't really relate to what I need in regards to trending on the web, but it does have some interesting stuff about social media liking. So you can see these clothes hangers here. If a garment is liked online, it ticks up in value on these clothes hangers, so people can see what are the most liked garments online. Stussy did a couple of things online this year: wearable technology, new jewelry, virtual fitting rooms. So there are trends that are happening within the clothing area online. So you could probably use some of these if you wanted to in your assignment. So the next thing is, well, what about what's actually happening online in regards to shopping? So here's an article. Now, it's based on a report by an organization called Walker's Sands. So what we'll do is just have a quick look at it and see what it's got in relation to us. So online shopping trends for 2013. So what it's saying here is these are products that are getting bought online, and you can see here clothing is 63%. So for us, that's great. It means we could say, well, you know, I'm going to sell online, and therefore, you know, I'm in the top 3 of products that are sold online. There are a couple of other things in here. It said 80% of consumers surveyed are more likely to purchase a product online when offered free shipping, and 66% when one-day shipping. So, you know, there's a couple of little pointers there that could also lead to part of your marketing. So you might say, well, part of the marketing strategy is always to lead with the free shipping, because 80% of consumers surveyed are more likely to purchase. One thing that you do need to check though is, where did this come from? So what I did is have a quick look, and Walker's Sands is actually a PR company, and this is the paper that they wrote. Now, the only thing that you probably want to be aware of with this is that there were 1,000 people surveyed for this. So it's not a huge group of people, and it's also US based, but it's enough, and it is backed up with research. So you could use this within your assignment. So we'll just get rid of that one, and we'll close this off. And so the other thing that I did find interesting on here was they had in their Walker Sands, they did have some social media marketing resources, and there's some interesting stuff in here. Advice that they would give their clients, being a PR company who's based online, of what you would do. So again, sometimes following through where the sources are, you come up with other interesting things. So why blog? So if you're going to do some blogging stuff, it gives you some information here about why blogging might work for you as one of your marketing strategies. Okay, so the next one that I found was a article on perthnow.com.au, and it says global trends play fast and loose with fashion. And this article basically talks about how a particular company in the US, Neiman Marcus Fashion, is saying that now one of the top 3 purchases of their fashion is from Australia. So this is a US luxury retailer who's actually shipping to Australia. So we've become consumers online of products that we might not even be able to have and receive here in Australia. What is important with this, again, is just follow it through and find out where did this information come from. And according to this article, it's come from the National Australia Bank Retail Sales Index for April 2013. So you can then Google that and have a look. And this is it here. Now this gives you even better detailed information for your assignment, because it breaks it down into other areas. Traditional versus online, domestic versus international sales. A good stat here, 72% of all the retail sales were domestic, which is great. It even breaks it down into who's buying and where from. So, you know, Western Australia is quite a small percentage. New South Wales is huge. The spending, and then it goes through what it is people are buying. So this is really interesting, because if you're, again, focused on fashion, then you can look to see that 10% of those sales are fashion related. Okay, and then it breaks it up into age groups here, so under 25, 25 to 34. So it tells you who it is really that is doing most of your purchasing. So again, a great resource for you online. So that simple search found those references there. So what we need to do when we're doing our research is we need to really understand the other elements. So who are your competitors? What other companies are doing what you're wanting to do, or what other people are doing it? What does the future look like? So that research I just showed you there says that online sales are increasing over time. So therefore, if you're going to go online, there is an advantage to doing that. And are there any trends? And again, one of the articles there was pointing to the fact that we not only will buy domestically or locally, but we'll also buy internationally. So just find some information that gives me, the reader, some information about what it is you're doing and why it is you're wanting to do it. Okay, so then the next bit is your marketing strategy. Now, again, in here I've put in a number of things that you could potentially have as part of your marketing strategy. So you could have a mission, marketing objectives, financial objectives, target market, how you're going to try and position yourself, strategy pyramids, which are a different form of marketing, a marketing mix, and marketing research. Now, probably most importantly here is your marketing objectives and your marketing research. Those two things are really, really important, because they tell us what you're trying to market and who you're trying to market to, and your research backs up all the assumptions that you're making. Now, if you go back and have a look at the PowerPoint from the previous lesson, the e-marketing PowerPoints, it goes through each one of these in more detail. So go back and have a look at those PowerPoints if you're not sure about these individual. I'm not going to go through those right now. I'm just going to move on and show you some other things in relation to your marketing. So first of all, what you want to do in your marketing is tell me who you're marketing to. So who are they? What might they do? So create a persona of them. Now, if you don't know what a persona is, basically a persona is like a story of them. Now, as an example, what I'm going to show you is if we were looking at the millenniums or the Gen Ys, what is a persona of a Gen Y? So again, you can go online and start having a look around for that type of information. Now, also remember, make sure that you have a look at things like Google Scholar and look for things about clothing and trends, etc. And in this search, excuse me, I found some really an interesting piece of research here that looked at some of the information around personas in particular. So really understanding the characteristics of who you're marketing to enable you to get to them better. So you'll notice down here, more knowledge about consumer characteristics predicting online information searches and purchases therefore enables a high degree of personalization. For example, with respect to gender, female, and product characteristics, pale, and health and products. So what it's saying is that the more you know about who it is that you're marketing to, the better targeted your marketing can be and the more successful it will be. So that was an interesting piece of research. And again, that was just done through Google Scholar's online shopping trends and clothing. And there it is down there. So it's online consumers, okay? So if you do that same search, you'll find those there. All right, so let's have a look now at what a persona is, or what research would you be doing around your target market. So this is done by Deloitte, a consulting company. So they've just given some basic information here around why they sort of think people fit, how many of them there are, and again, this is a US based one, what they're called, Gen Ys, Millenniums, digital generation, blah blah blah. Some characteristics about them: tech savvy, connected, hopeful, etc. Education is good. So, you know, sort of things here about them as a person that would be quite common. There was another one here by, this is an Australian based one, Genworth Financial. Okay, so this was more along the financial, talking about where Gen Ys fit financially. But what's also interesting here is they give you the breakup. So you've got baby boomers, Generation Jones, Gen X's, and Gen Y. So it's giving you some age characteristics. So if you were telling me that your demographic of your market is between 18 and 25, then they're a Gen Y. So this information would fit with your marketing. So what was interesting in this particular bit of research was these characteristics that they gave here. So they're just giving an idea of how many there are, what they're wanting to do with their money, what do they like to use for communication. One of the really interesting stats on here that I thought was they all have credit cards, or that a large majority of them have credit card, 56%, which is interesting, which means also that if you've got a credit card, it means you can buy online, which is great. And then the other thing that I thought was interesting was this one here, 89%. Percentage of Gen Y that would switch brands to one they perceive supported good causes. So the Gen Y is, and it says it in here too, that they're looking at things more from an integrity and what is it that what's going to happen to me if I buy this product? What's going to happen to the planet? Does it do the right thing? So with your personas, it's really important that you look at building a persona. So here's another example of personas. So this is quite interesting. Now all the links for this are at the end of the PowerPoint, so you can go and have a look at these. But this article talks about personas and how these different companies are using personas or using stories about people to reconnect with new audiences or new potential markets. So MySpace, if you may not have heard of MySpace, but when Facebook first came out, it was MySpace and Facebook. MySpace reinvented itself, and it's really focused now on the music industry. So it's a place for musicians. So that's an interesting thing. So they've changed their persona from being for everyone just to being for a particular group of people. This infographic is a good example of how to look at and create a persona. So one of the things here that they talk about is really doing interviews of real people. that would be your market. Now, you might not think about that, but it's worth doing. If your market is someone like yourself, then look at what you do every day. Maybe ask some of your friends if they are of a similar market and ask them what they do. And that will help you build up a bit of a persona of what the market is, how much will they spend, what do they do, where do they go, how do they socialize, what do they read, how often do they read emails versus sending SMSs versus using social media. So that will give you a really good insight into who it is that you're marketing to. Again, the link for this is at the end of the PowerPoint. Okay, the last one that I just wanted to show you was this one here. So this is a consumer study of millennials or Gen Ys, and it just goes through and gives some interesting data around what it is that is common traits. So basically, you know, talking about they're more social and they're more likely to influence. So again, if you're talking about having social media as any form of marketing, then this information will be relevant to you. The other interesting thing is there's some interesting stats in here, this one in particular, and it's highlighted and saying that the use of email is increasing, and it's possibly because of the distrust that they have in public channels. And public channels are things like your social media, your Facebooks, your Twitters, your Blogger, your Tumblrs, etc. And just moving through, talks about how they use technology. So they're more likely to use a smartphone than a desktop or a tablet, versus others are the opposite. You can see here desktops are still highly used by other groups. And if you just go through and have a look, it sort of talks about different things. What do they browse the web for? What are they talking about? What are the different channels they're in? And this is quite interesting. Shopping, look at this, minus 26%, but Pinterest, again, a great marketing tool and a great social networking tool, plus 283%. So if you're in the shopping world, that seems to be a very good marketing channel. Anyway, I'm not going to go through all of this. If you want, again, this is available in the slides at the end in the references. All right, and then the other thing that I came across as well as I was working through these, I found this set of slides, and it was about mums, and I thought that was quite interesting. Again, if you were in looking at shopping online, etc., then it could be interesting to have a look at what the behaviours of mothers are, or parents in particular. They might be one of the demographics you're after. And it gives you some good stuff here about where do they share. Facebook, 34%. So it just gives you some stats in regards to just mums. Okay, so the next thing you need to do is really tell me why it is. So you've created this persona about who it is you're marketing to. Now you have to pick the platforms or the marketing tools that you're going to use. So you might say, well, I'll have a blog and a website. I'm going to use social media, and then which social media are you going to use? Are you going to use Facebook? Are you going to use Pinterest, etc.? And then have a look and find some research that supports those assumptions or choices. So again, on here are some examples. So here's some facts about the different media, giving you some interesting information in regards to statistics of what they're doing. And the really important thing is here is that this one has some references down the bottom here, so you can go and check their stats. Interestingly enough, this is the same company again. This is 2014, this is 2013. So they've updated this one, and they've got a few more things in here. So they've got average time spent doing this, and it's just showing you how things are growing. Also, if you notice here, if we go through the list, we've got Facebook, Twitter, Google, LinkedIn, Instagram, Pinterest. Look at this. We've also now got Vine is come on board, Snapchat is come on board, and now they've put in YouTube and blog as well. So this is what happens in the marketing area, especially in social media. These new medias come on board and they accelerate up. And what it will show you too in this is where is it. So there might be some stuff here. 70% of Snapchat users are female. Again, great stat to know if you're marketing in the area of clothing in the female market. So you've got to find some information and support your assumptions when you're doing your marketing. Okay, so an example would be, say, product reviews. So what can I find that might give me some information about product reviews? Well, in one of the textbooks, at your reference textbooks, e-marketing excellence, in here it talks about why it is that reviews are important. So what it's saying is that when you look at when a consumer looks at a product online, there is always some point of doubt before they will go to buy. And that might be doubt in the quality of the product, the type of the product, is it good for its use, etc. And what it's saying is that by keeping reviews within the product area that are positive, the chances of a sale are increased, versus if those reviews jump outside of the cart itself. So you need to find research that backs up what it is you're saying. Okay, so let's have a look now for email. So here was an interesting stat for email marketing beats social media. So this is just a little article that talks about how a study from the consulting company found that email is nearly 40 times more effective than Facebook and Twitter combined in acquiring a new customer. Now, what's interesting is that it's also saying that's because now a lot of people have access to email on their mobile device. So there was another thing in here, and it talks further about that if you're going to use email marketing, then you must also support that with a mobile-ready website, and the email marketing must go towards a landing page that is particularly focused on that message that you sent in that email. So down here it talks about that in here. So read on mobile devices, therefore it's a big deal that they're able to look at your thing, and 40% of customers will visit a competitor's site instead. So it's really important that you look at that. So again, if you're looking to use email marketing, here's some great supporting data. Now, the other thing is when you start doing searches like this, what was really great is on the side here, it came up with a link to a book, Social Media Marketing. So if I went now and had a look at that particular book, I can go through and have a look at what they would say is a great way to do marketing from a social media perspective. And again, books are awesome references because as a quality reference, they are one of the top. Journal articles and books are the ones that you really want to be using. Online research is great if it's backed up. For example, the online statistical information that we got from NAB would be fine because it's coming from a large organization. Now, the other thing that I looked at is social media. So in this particular example, we did product views, email marketing. Now we're going to do social media. So what I did is try and find a little bit of information about how other companies are talking about and managing social media. So I found this article here, Managing Brand Presence Through Social Media. Now, it was for football clubs, but what I did first of all is just quickly go and have a look at the actual research itself. And what it was mainly talking about was management of social media in an organization. So a lot of times what I do when I find research is I always zip right to the very end. And what was interesting here was this last little paragraph, implications for other organizations. And what it was really important is that all organizations need to recognize that they need an appropriate social media public relations strategy in order to protect and promote their brand. In addition, they need to welcome and cultivate member or customer contribution to building both the brand image and the brand experience. Finally, they need to balance short-term revenue generation with long-term brand building through a web presence. So one of the things further up in the information in this particular research, it talked about that you've got to watch out for trying to over control the social media. if you've got fans or if you've got supporters that have really strong opinions, sometimes you need to let those opinions come out because that is your community. So again, you could use this piece of research to back up that you're going to use social media. And then your buyer personas would then support your choices. So if you're an 18 to 25-year-old, you can look at, do product reviews work for them? Is email marketing appropriate? Is social media appropriate? So you would then take this and look at how your personas fit with those different strategies that you're putting together. Make sure you include an outline plan. This can be a table format, and this is your SMART goals. So this is, you know, the things that you're going to measure and how you're going to measure them. So in the case that I've given here, it's what's going to happen, who's going to do it, when's it going to get done, and what's the cost, and what are you going to measure and check to make sure it gets done. And same with the next one down, Facebook posts, who's going to do them, when are they going to do them, is there any money associated with it, and what are you measuring, likes, comments, etc. So make sure there's a plan in your marketing strategy. And then the last one is your financials. So this would include costs for staff, equipment, resources, fees, any subscription costs that you might have in regards to being on social media or having a website. So again, the what, website hosting, the cost, and this is a 12-month budget. So it's a cost by 12 months. You know, images, $1 to $5 per image, you need about 15 per month, so that's $900 a year. Then we've got equipment, an iPhone, $100 per month, laptop, camera, etc. And you would just list out all the different things, and it gives you an idea then of what it's going to cost to run your social media and your e-marketing plan. Okay, so there's all the web links. I'll put the PDF up into eCampus for you. Now hopefully that's helped a bit with the assignment. So don't think that the assignment has to be really, really long. And the example that I put up there for you is still there. So I PDF'd that example I showed you a couple of weeks ago in class. I'll put that up as an example. And remember, this is 2,000 to 2,500 words. So don't overthink it. Just go through the process. Tell me about your product. Tell me about the people you're selling to. Tell me about the strategies you're going to do to market to them online. And remember, thinking of things like where do they browse, how do they socialize, and what do they look for. And don't forget things like ads. Like have a look at Google Ads, AdWords, for example, might be one of your marketing strategies. So I hope this video helps you to write assignment 2. I'll see you next week in class.